everybody, and good to see the crew. And I know some of you were able to make it out to Indianapolis, which was a really good day for University of Washington. I think that it was an opportunity for us to understand the power of the Big Ten. The media day was very professional. It was all the top national writers, and all the stations were there. It was certainly a very cool experience. And it was just a great reminder about what we're walking into as a program. When you see some of the logos, and you see the Michigans, the Ohio States, Penn States, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Oregon, USC, ourselves, and then Iowa, and just and all the other programs that are in the Big Ten. All 18 of them have some powerful logos behind it. But we have our work cut out for us in that conference. I think when you look at the conference and you look at the type of teams that we're going to be going against every week, you're talking about great infrastructure. You're talking about great financial situations. You're talking about programs that are extremely invested in their NIL program, in their facilities, and in their football team and their operations. So we're really excited about stepping on the field with them. It's certainly different. It's a different conference, and it's a different group of competition. On top of that, I think there are some really, really good players in this conference, and we know that we have our work cut out for us in terms of defending some of the elite players on offense, and also going against some of the elite players on defense. It's a conference of size. It's a conference where they've won in the trenches and stopped people in the trenches. And that's something that as we continue to build our recruiting class and our transfer class and our own team, we're going to continue to see how big we can get and how fast we can get there. On top of that, there's some really good coaches in the conference. So we're going to have some great challenges schematically on a weekly basis. We're looking forward to that opportunity as coaches. That's what we pride ourselves on, the chance to go against some of the best coaches in the country week in and week out. We certainly are bringing a different team this year than years past. I made the comment that it was certainly very different, or I should say it's almost the first time ever that you would have 46 to 48 new players on a roster, along with 30 new staff members coming off of a 14-1 season. I think we have to remember that it's the trifecta of change. It's the opportunity to not only have, let's call it 50 some odd new players when it's all said and done, but rarely or never has it ever happened coming off of a 14-1 team. I know that in Colorado, they had a bunch of change a year ago, but they were not coming off of a national championship game. So certainly new and unique to college football, the changes. Really excited about those opportunities that we have with our football team. We'll have about 30 new faces that you haven't seen in spring football that will be out practicing tomorrow. And we're looking forward to showcasing their skills and really getting a better understanding of what our team's going to look like. I really don't know. I really don't know what our team's going to look like as a collective unit. I've just seen a lot of individual players and a lot of individual workouts. So the chance to get this group together, to see what the offensive line is going to look like, the defensive line, to see, how everybody works together will certainly be an awesome opportunity for practice. So we love this time of year. This is the time of year that we all work for, football season. And training camp is the start of what really is the best 30 days of the year. It's a day, every day to get better. There are no distractions. We live in a submarine. We get to focus in on football every minute of the day. And I told our guys, the schedule is wake up, eat breakfast, do football, eat lunch, do football, have dinner, do football, and go to sleep. So that's our schedule. We don't need a calendar for that, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing. So I'll take questions.
Jedd, do you have a semi-idea of what your starting offensive line will look like, or do you honestly have no clue, and the next 2-3 weeks is all about finding those 5 guys?
I really don't have a great idea of what our offensive line is going to look like come August 31st. I think a lot of it will have to do with Landon Hatchett and guard Memelar's health. I'm very hopeful that both of them will be cleared to play for opening day. A lot of it will have to do with where Enoch is most comfortable, where Max McCree fits into the equation, where D'Angelo fits into the equation, where Drew Azzopardi obviously fits into the equation, and then where does the Paki Finals and the Swanes and the guys that have been here for the spring and summer now, and how much have they improved? So really not sure how it's all going to look. We're going to move guys around. We're going to check all the different body types, see where everybody fits in, and then try to put our best 5 together.
Jedd, you said that you were going to maybe recruit as many as 5 linemen out of the portal, and you settled on 3. Is that because guys weren't available, or you just liked the younger guys and thought maybe they could carry the weight?
Well, I think, the biggest thing was to get 5 new guys. We were able to bring in 2 freshmen, 3 portals, and get 2 healthy guys, 2 injured guys back. So that brought us up to 7. We've got 15 scholarship offensive linemen now, so 17 total. I think with a team of 85, there was a chance to maybe get 1 more. We battled for a couple, and for one reason or another, traditionally financially, some guys might have ended up somewhere else. Maybe it was geography. But we did our very best to get the best possible offensive lineman we could get in here.
Coach, last night it kind of leaked out where you presented the guys with their Sugar Bowl and Pac-12 championship rings. Can you maybe give us a backstory and just how it all developed and how you're getting into the guys that are coming from the program?
Yeah, well, we talked to our team about having a celebration dinner, and I wanted to celebrate their success, and it's kind of a unique world the way we're living in because of so much change on that team and that the staff wasn't there. I would imagine that they would have done something if it was the same coaching staff, probably in the springtime or whenever the rings arrived. I think the rings arrived in like May. But we needed to figure out a way how we were going to do it. And on the same token, we have 28 players and coaches from Arizona that won the Alamo Bowl. And I thought it would be right for them to get rings as well. So in our situation, our collective and Amber and I bought the rings for the Arizona players and coaches. And in their situation, the university was able to get the rings for our team. So when it all came together, we wanted to make sure that we could celebrate it. It's kind of a weird deal because it's Kalen DeBoer's football team that we were celebrating, and I wanted him to receive the credit as well as their coaching staff and the team that was there. So we were able to get all of the Washington players that were here and all of the staff. I think it was 74 total rings we gave out last night times 2 because it was the Pac-12 championship and the Sugar Bowl. And then we shipped out, I think we FedExed out to 66 other players and coaches. We wanted to make sure that everybody that participated in the championship game and everybody that participated in the Sugar Bowl receive a ring. So hopefully the entire coaching staff, as well as all of the players from Michael Penix to Rome on down, will be receiving their rings here soon.
Jedd, you mentioned the uniqueness of this situation where you've got essentially several different camps with the returning players and then freshmen and then transfers and all that group kind of swirling together. How do you go about building cohesion and making sure that this is one where it's coming from all these different places?
Yeah, well, it really is a challenge. We're working very hard on as much culture building as we can build or do, as much activities as we can do as a group, trying to learn each other's names and where they came from and where their families came from and what their background and life stories are. We'll do a lot of what we call Mind Time, which is an activity once a week where we dig deep into each other's either family history or culture or belief system and try to share with each other different stories that can maybe help other people understand us. We do a lot of meals together. One of the biggest things that I started when I got here was serving 3 meals a day mandatory breakfast, lunch, and dinner for every one of our players every day, because I really believe that meals are the time that people share the most. And we're working very hard at it, but it's not easy. You know, it is not an easy deal with 20-something transfers, 20-something freshmen, 40, let's call it Washington, players from a year ago, and then about another 20 or so people that were committed or went to Arizona. So we're working really hard at it, but I think we'll get there.
You also mentioned that you have no idea what you guys are going to look like once it all comes together. How much can you glean from individual talent in terms of what that might transfer to?
I would say not as much as I would like to. I think it's really going to be, practice is going to be critical. And I do believe we have a lot of good players on this team. I believe we have a lot of talent on this team. We have a lot of young players on this team. So we're kind of one of those groups that are like either old, meaning 5th and 6th year players, or young, 1st and 2nd year players. We don't have a ton of players in the middle area. So for us, we've got to see how do they mix and match. What is that going to look like? How are we going to be able to get these guys to play together as quick as possible? It's a great challenge for our 3 coordinators, to be able to get our special teams, our offense, and our defense all on the same page. And then we're going to work really hard at meeting time and practice, and we're going to be on the field a long time. We're going to be in meetings a long time. I've already warned them on that, you know, I'm not looking to make it an easy training camp. You know, our goal would be to have 7 hours of meetings a day and 3 hours of practice and an hour of walkthrough and 3 hours of meals, and, you know, send them home and do it again. And that's what that's going to be our plan as we go forward.
Just 1 or 2 more, please. You mentioned before, you know, that Will and Damon will continue to compete for the starting job. Do you have a timeline on when you'd like the team to know, and maybe publicly people to know who the starter is going to be definitively?
I don't have a real timeline on it, because over these next 30 days or so, I want those guys to just go out there and compete and see how good they can get. Will's going to take the reps with the ones to start. And I would expect that as long as Will stays healthy, he'll continue to do that. But to make an announcement that somebody's a starter and then not knowing how camp's going to go over the next few weeks, I don't think that's necessary. But there's no surprise that Will's going to take the first set of reps with the ones, with the starters. And, you know, it's certainly Will's job there to start camp.
Coach, we talked about just how this coaching staff has spent time together and has developed some chemistry with you during your time at Arizona. How does having an experienced coaching staff help a team that isn't as experienced?
I think it makes a huge difference. It would have been an extraordinary challenge if we didn't work together on offense or defense before, if we didn't have a recruiting department. We have 22 staff members that were with us. We had 21 at the media day, and then we just hired our former nutritionist as our 22nd. So we have 22 staff members that were with us when we were in Tucson. The idea that they understand the way we do things and that I understand the way that they do things has really helped us spend more time with our players and less time as a staff together. And that is huge for our success.
Last one here, Jade, you mentioned just the time commitment. Are you get here at 5 a.m. and leave at midnight, sometimes sleep in the office kind of guy?
I work a lot. I don't know the exact times, but I love the guy. Sure. But I love the game of football, but I love my family too. Coach Peterson sent me a text the other day of an article that was on ESPN.com talking about how sleep is not overrated and how important it is for coaches to get sleep. And that was a big article written on ESPN about, I think, Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur and some of the other guys were quoted in there. So I appreciated Coach Peterson's reminder that we need to have balance in our life and we need to be awake for these kids. So I'll get my sleep, and but I will commit everything I have to making sure that our players are served the best possible way. Okay?
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you.
How we doing? I'd like to start off by thanking Amber Fish and Coach Fish and the Motley for taking care of the ring ceremony last night. That's a really cool deal that they went and got started for us. So I know the boys had a blast last night, and the staff did as well. So right way to kick this thing off.
Coach, how daunting a task is what you're inheriting with this offensive line compared to other jobs that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot starts with the offensive line, and this is not unsimilar to other things that we've done before. Coaching offensive line had huge changes at the Seattle Seahawks when we got there, coming off their 2 Super Bowl run, and so we had to kind of rebuild it there. University of Arizona had to do a lot of rebuilding there, so just the third time around.
Comfort level for your offense. There's so many new faces and new schemes, everything. Where do you stand right now? What's the biggest challenge for a month before your first game?
Yeah, our goal this summer was really just to connect in terms of offense and defense, and making sure these guys really feel connected as teammates and as partners in this situation. And the spring was really to get them started, just learning the basics and getting to know the basic fundamentals. And now we'll kind of take the advanced steps of that right now. So really excited for these next 2-3 weeks to really dig into the fundamentals, and then we'll kind of start getting ready, kind of at the end of this thing. But we're in a great spot right now. I love where our guys are mentally. They're all excited. They're really ready to go take on this task. So they got an edge about them. So it's kind of fun.
When you start out tomorrow, I know starters are a long way off. You got guys that need to be medically cleared. But who you start with tomorrow with 5 guys just from when you come out?
We're actually going to do a little bit of a rotation. We're going to get a couple different groups in there. We're still in the process of getting it nailed out. We're going to kind of go period by period to get a couple different formats in there. So there's going to be a lot of rotation. There'll be a lot of competition, which is really when it's the central theme. That's kind of how you got to run this thing. So, yeah, we'll see a lot of different looks.
How do you see Justin Hilton fitting into that mix?
He's a good young player from Northern California, and would love to see when he gets out there and it's kind of live and full speed. He looked great last year in his high school days, and just expect him to come out and compete right away.
How did you think Solani was a different player by the end of spring than you guys started out?
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with just the confidence of a guy that's going out there each and every day, taking those reps with the ones. And, there was a little bit of, pause early on with him, just getting started, having the confidence. But then that's what having these opportunities to get 15 practices and gives him the strength and confidence to know that he can go out and do it at a high level. Really excited for him this camp. I think he's going to have a heck of a camp. He's ready to go. Best shape of his life. Strong. Can't wait to see it.
You mentioned that you've been in a situation before. What lessons can you take from your Arizona days to bring to this new?
Patience. Patience is not going to happen on day 1, day 2. But that's all the process of development. It's just letting these guys develop, take their time, not expect perfection on day 1, but just expect great effort and for these guys to fly around and give it their all, and then we'll make the tweaks and corrections as we need to as we go.
How did the connection with Max come about at Iowa Central?
Yeah, Coach Switzer had a relationship with his coach from a couple of years back, and that kind of started off. But really excited about Max. He's gone through a tough trial getting here in terms of he had to leave football to go support his family. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad he's back at it. So excited to see what he can do. Haven't got any looks with pads yet, so we'll see what that looks like here pretty quick. According to this roster right here, it's somewhere in the 6'5", 6'6", probably 285, 295 range.
Coach, Jedd made it clear that Will's the #1 guy for now at quarterback, but would you be surprised if DeMond did not have some kind of role with this offense as the year went on?
I would definitely wouldn't rule that out. I feel like you always need to have 2 to 3 quarterbacks ready to go in any given season. As lucky as you can be to have a guy like Will in there, you need to have a guy ready to go at all times, at all positions. But I think DeMond's going to have a great camp, and we'll see how that develops and see how it flourishes. So we're excited about him.
Coach, just settling in with John, the Seahawks started last week, and this college football schedule is totally different. Have you settled in? Are you getting to see it yet?
Oh, yeah. It's great. We're back at it now. We had a great break. Got a chance to kind of reconnect with family and get back with my family and get them all up here and moved up in the Pacific Northwest. So they're glad to be back.
How much does your dad bug you, or does he kind of leave you alone?
Bug me personally, not very much. No, he's taken some interest in some local high schools. So we'll see how that develops. But no, he's itching a little bit. He stopped by the other day just to kind of walk around a football office.
Is he volunteering somewhere?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So when you say interest in
This-
local high school, just a rooting interest?
That's all. That's as far as we're going with that one.
Speaking of, local high schools, you have D'Angelo coming back to the area after starting at East Side. What did you guys really like about him at Portland State? Where do you see him fitting in?
Just his leadership, his energy, his juice. This is so important for him, and it's a beautiful thing about recruiting kids from the Pacific Northwest. They understand what Husky football is all about, and D'Angelo is a prime example of that. He couldn't be more excited to be here. We're really excited to have him. I think he's going to be able to have a big role for us. We'll figure out what that is, but really excited about D'Angelo.
You mentioned, you've rebuilt in some ways, other places, but I'm curious of the uniqueness of the situation where there is a group that's coming off national championship and they're bringing in, 30 to 40 transfers, and then there's a freshman class. How unique is this situation, and what's the challenge in building cohesion, building a group that feels like it's one group together?
That's part of what the summer was all about, is making sure these guys would be cohesive and would be connected. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be with, your calls and what you're doing on the field and your schemes. It's having to, be close with your brother and playing with the guy next to you and being able to communicate with him on and off the field. So it's a tall task. But these kids have been so great about it. That's why I have confidence in this process, and I think they're going to do fantastic. It looks different. We went out there in spring, and at times we had 8 players at the offensive line, 2 of them being high school seniors in their freshman year. Kids that just didn't have the time at this level yet. So now it feels like running out there with 15 to 17 guys, depending on injuries. It'll look more normal. So I'm excited for some normalcy.
Do you share Jedd's opinion that?
Yes.
He basically said that, he has no idea what this is going to look like, and it's unique just because there's so many players coming, and there's that age gap where you have a lot of 5th and 6th year guys and a lot of 1st and 2nd year guys. It could be anything.
Correct.
Kind of like that.
I think if you try to put a cap on it or try to point your finger at it right now and say what it's going to be, you're gonna kind of hamstring yourself. You put a cap on it, and we don't want to do that to any of these kids. We don't know what these kids are going to be able to look like in 3-4 weeks, and so if we kind of make the decision now, we're not going to get the best out of them. So we want to just give these guys a chance to flourish and fly around and have some fun. I think they're ready to do so. So I'm kind of excited about it.
All right, we'll break it up here. We'll have Coach Carroll move to this table here, so a little more time with him. And then the thoughts on the defense, go right ahead, we'll take some questions.
Yeah, just excited to get it started here for training camp, and it's good to be back. And yeah, not much else to it than that. It's football season.
And as you incorporate a New England Patriots defense or an NFL defense, what are we going to see that's different from what maybe we watched here at Washington? How different will it be?
Yeah, I mean, we're not really running the Patriots defense. We're not running the NFL defense. We're just running the UW defense. So I think the guys are excited about it. I'm excited about it, and yeah, we'll see how it looks. But it's a 2024 season, and things are different. Things change every year. New players, new coaches. Every team goes through that. So it'll be this year, and then it'll change next year, just like it changed from the previous years.
Will it be more aggressive per se than, will that be the idea of being really super aggressive?
No, I mean, we just got to see how it is. Our minds aren't made up on anything. We haven't even gotten on the practice field yet in training camp. So we got a lot of work to do, a long way to go, and we'll create our own identity and see what it looks like.
Steve, how much are you relying on guys like Carson Bruin or Elijah Jackson that were here a year ago to kind of lead this thing and get your system implemented?
Yeah, I mean, we're leaning on everybody. Everybody's going out there. Everybody will compete. Best players are going to play. Guys who have been here for a little bit longer are more comfortable with just college football in general. They just have more experience than the guys who just got here, the freshmen and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter how old you are. It's just how you perform on the field.
How would you characterize your particular style of play calling, if you had a
call the best plays to help us win.
What are some of the principles of a UW defense as you see it so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think that training camp will tell a lot about where we're going to go, what direction we go, but always starts with the fundamentals. And really, to me, that's just, you got to start with tackling, got to get the ball carrier on the ground.
Steve, it seems like a big thing you guys target in the transfer portal is versatility. Guys like Deshaun Lynch who play inside and outside of the defensive line, Justin Harrington, who looks like he played three positions if you wanted to. Is that something that you think is going to be really valuable to you this fall?
Yeah, I mean, we had to go out and get a lot of guys. I wasn't very familiar with the college landscape and how all that stuff works. From what I, gathered being here, obviously a lot of guys left. A lot of guys went to the NFL. A lot of guys transferred out and stuff like that. So have to fill out the roster. Got to get somebody, and we felt good about those players based on who else was out there, and we're excited to see what it looks like when we get out on the field.
Someone like Justin Harrington in particular, how do you kind of envision him fitting in when he's played so many different spots in his career?
Yeah, that's kind of the fun part about coaching. Obviously, the coaches, myself included, we're not going to make any plays out there on the field this year, so it's our job to fit the pieces in the right place and give those guys a chance to succeed on the field.
Steve, do you have any idea what this will look like, or are these players too new?
No, I mean, the spring was great. It was a lot different than, the springs that I've had in the past, being able to go full pads and stuff like that. But at the same time, we got a lot of new guys with the freshmen and the transfers who weren't out there in the spring. So we'll see how it looks like going forward, but we're excited.
Practice starts tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the biggest battles that you see out there? Is there a certain position that you're just going to go, yeah, game on?
I think all across the defense. We just got to see how everybody fits in, like I was saying. But hopefully everybody should be battling and competing for a spot. That's the mark of a good team.
Specifically in the backfield, with your corners, you got Elijah and Price on the back there. But I know you've got some talent back there, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a strong position group for us, but I think every position group out there has good competition, good players. So, yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully everybody comes out ready to compete and try and earn a spot.
Is it almost 4 people on each edge rusher spot? Looks like each guy, all the 8 guys have played, and some of them started, Arizona or here. Looks like that might be the most heavy set position almost with bodies that have got experience.
Yeah, I mean, we got to try and get everybody ready to go. You can never predict how the season's going to go with injuries and all those types of things. So the more depth you have, the better off you are.
Steve, now that you've been here for 6 months, what's the biggest adjustment that stood out to you about the difference between coaching in the NFL versus coaching in college?
I mean, football is football. That was kind of my mindset coming in, but I would just say the recruiting was big. And just kind of the general calendar of how the days operate and the weeks and the months and how it's all put together. I was swimming a little bit when I started, just trying to figure out the schedule and new place and moving the family and all that type of stuff. But become more comfortable and just figuring that stuff out. Football is football. These guys did a great job learning the scheme and doing all that stuff in the spring, but the recruiting was definitely new.
Coach, you joked about FaceTiming with high schoolers. It's not something that you were accustomed to, like some of this college recruiting stuff, but what did you find? You must have found something pretty special because this 2025 class is top 20 and a lot of 4-star, really good defensive players. Did you find a connection or something that worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like anything for anybody. The more you do it, the better off you get if you work at it. So it was definitely new and different, but it's just all about building relationships and stuff like that. So that's always been a big thing for me, building relationships with my players, dealing with a different group of guys, obviously, being high schoolers and not college players and pro players, but kind of shifted down a little bit. But, yeah, we just trying to get the best players we can, and glad that they liked it here, and looking forward to the future, but most importantly, training camp.
Coach, with how much flexibility you have at a variety of different positions, does that make it easy for you as a play caller to pick
different schemes depending on just what the game plan is?
Yeah, I mean, the more that the players can do, it kind of gives some natural depth to the defense. But once you kind of identify your best players and find different ways to get them on the field, then that stuff sorts itself out. But everybody's going to get a chance. Everybody's going to go out there and compete, and we'll see how the chips fall.
You guys brought in from Miami as an offensive lineman to play defensive line. How was the evaluation there? And how much experience do you have?
Yeah, I just think that you got to kind of try and look at the skill sets of the players. Reference, football's football, and the same, not offensive, defensive players, but the same is true when you look at guys coming from high school to college or college to the NFL. The schemes are different, but you just got to identify the traits of the player and see how you can use them going forward and what they do well, what they need to improve on, and if you think you can improve what they do.
One of the fan favorites that everybody seems to be fixated on is a guy who hasn't played much, Zach Durfee.
Sorry, start the question over.
Just one of the guys that the fans seem to be focused on is a guy who hasn't played much, and Zach Durfee. Where do you see his role, and maybe give us a little bit of a scouting report on what to expect to see out of him?
Yeah, he's been great, just like everybody else on defense. Keeps getting better, like pretty much everybody else throughout the spring, and we're looking forward to getting him out on the field and seeing where he fits. But has a lot of good traits to work with, that's for sure.
Steve, how would you characterize what it's like to play for you? Are you a hard ass? Are you a player's coach? How would you kind of characterize your style? What players would say about you?
Well, you would have to ask them. But no, I just want to try and teach the guys and give them tools and freedom to go out there and make plays. I'm not going to make any plays this year. Those guys are going to be the ones making plays. So trying to get them to play fast, play aggressive, know what to do out there, and have some freedom to fix problems if they identify them on the field, and go out there and play fast, like I was saying.
How much of your dad's style do you think you've picked up over the years, or is it just everything that just came from you?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta you always want to be learning and improving and stuff like that. I try and be myself. You can't be anybody else. You just got to be yourself. I've taken stuff from every coach I've been around. I took stuff from Coach Fisch when he was with the Patriots and how he operated as a coach. Obviously, being with my dad for my entire life, I've had a lot of exposure to him more than someone like Coach Fisch. But you just try and pick from everybody you're around.
Play caller, do you have to do that from the press box? And the reason I asked that question is because I've seen photos of you with the Patriots being on the sidelines, pumping up guys, slapping shoulder pads and things. Are you going to do that up above or on the sideline?
Yeah, we haven't, gotten that far right now, but I like to be down on the field for the most part, feel the energy of the game. But there's a lot of good things about being up in the booth. Back earlier when I started being up in the booth, doing the personnel and being up there, it's obviously a calmer environment than being down on the field. But there's positives and negatives to both.
What were some of the things you took from Coach Fisch when he was in New England?
Just like how he dealt with players, how he ran his room, how he taught, his style of teaching. I wasn't in his actual position meetings and stuff like that, but being able to pick his brain, how he's able to relate to different guys. Everybody's different. Everybody receives information differently, and so just him, coaching Cam was different than the guys he coached before that. You have different personalities in the room, and so just kind of. Those types of things, as well as him coming from different schemes that, I haven't, or that we didn't really run in New England on offense. So picking his brain about, what other teams do and what other styles of offense are out there, and just trying to learn.
As a coach who says you feed off the energy of the game, what's it mean to be in an environment like Husky Stadium?
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward to it. Haven't been to very many college games. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've heard a lot of good things. They don't call it the greatest setting for no reason. I haven't experienced it, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
All right, we'll go ahead and bring this up. Coach is gonna move you right here.